Hey guys, Kimsey again. I am back sharing some information about viral infections. In our last video, we talked about the two different types of viral infections, acute and chronic. And we started to get into how our immune system, the specific immune responses that occur in order to address and eliminate acute viral infections, as well as keep chronic infections at bay. And here we're going to talk about some of the risk factors. So we're going to get into quantifying what your susceptibility and resiliency is towards a potential viral infection. So we've heard a lot in the news with COVID-19 about how susceptible populations are more at risk for this acute viral infection becoming very serious and life-threatening. And the reason why some of these risk populations, the reasons is because underlying long-standing chronic health issues affect our immune resiliency, inefficiency. Okay, so the question that I'm posing here is, or not even a question really, but the point that I'm making here is how can you really know sometimes if you might be more susceptible to contracting a viral infection in the first place or having a weakened response to mitigating it? Because oftentimes these symptoms, especially in the population that I work with, I specialize in working with chronic, long-standing health conditions. Oftentimes the symptoms are, they're not obvious. So, for example, some things that we would look for. One, everything that I'm going to talk about can be found in a routine blood panel run through either us or run through your doctor. So some factors that can contribute. One, low white blood cell, so immune deficiency. This can either be clinically diagnosed by a doctor. Please keep in mind, I'm an integrative nutrition therapist. I am not a doctor. Therefore, I cannot diagnose, prescribe, treat. However, I can evaluate blood work and make lifestyle and nutritional and supplement recommendations to identify or to address the trends that are being seen. So, some factors that we can consider. One, low white blood cell count. This can be diagnosed by a doctor, or we can see it on the lab work based on the white blood cell levels in the blood work. Low white blood cells mean that you don't have the necessary immune resiliency to address an infection should it arise. From there, we look at specific types of immune cells to see what types of immune cells are affected the most that are bringing down the total. Now, there are many different reasons for low white blood cell count, and I'm not going to get into that now. But like I said before, this doesn't always cause symptoms in and of itself. So it's really helpful to get some up-to-date lab testing, especially with everything that's going on. It's really important to get some up-to-date lab testing to see what the state of your immune system is. Second, we look at conditions that can affect the immune response. This includes prediabetes or diabetes. So one issue that happens in prediabetes or diabetes is it suppresses our white blood cells. So this is part of the reason why it's very well known that like necrotic conditions can occur with unmanaged diabetes. Poor wound healing can occur with unmanaged diabetes. And this is the reason why, is because it suppresses our white blood cells. So when we're looking at an acute infection, that is the last thing that we want. Second, looking at autoimmune conditions. So autoimmune conditions include multiple sclerosis, celiac disease, Crohn's, rheumatoid arthritis. Those are some examples, lupus. To give you an idea, 1 in 8 women have an autoimmune condition, so they're very common these days. And with an autoimmune condition, what's happening is the immune system has actually lost tolerance for self. So the immune system is supposed to recognize what is our own body and what is an invader. It keeps our own body safe and it attacks invaders. with autoimmune condition, due to a variety of different factors, that becomes confused. And the immune system now begins attacking self. Where that happens determines the autoimmune condition that's diagnosed. So, nonetheless, as you can probably tell, there's an inherent immune dysregulation that is occurring with autoimmune conditions. And it's worth noting that stealth chronic infections, often viral in nature, please understand, different from an acute infection like COVID, but nonetheless, stealth chronic viral infections are often at the root of many autoimmune conditions. Now, there has to be DNA susceptibility, genetic susceptibility. There's often many other factors that go along with that. But nonetheless, in the last video, we talked about stealth chronic viral infections. So I wanted to bring that up here. So autoimmune conditions, the inherent immune dysregulation and the imbalance of our innate to humoral immune response, as well as our body's ability, our immune system's ability to resolve that response, that can make a person more susceptible to an acute infection, viral, bacterial, anything. Okay, next, we look at nutrient deficiencies. So anybody listening, look at your fingernails right now. If you have white lines on your fingernails, that is a dead giveaway of a zinc deficiency. Zinc is one of the most important nutrients for the immune system, okay? So pop some zinc citrate, 10-15 milligrams to start off with, that'll help. Vitamin C, looking at vitamin C. When you brush your teeth, do your gums bleed? That can sometimes be an indication of vitamin C deficiency. Now, obviously it can also be gingivitis. It could be something else, but nonetheless, could be vitamin C. And even if it is gingivitis, vitamin C will help. So vitamin C, it's a water-soluble vitamin. It's extremely easy in that case. What I mean by that is we can't store it. Therefore, it's extremely easy for a deficiency to arise. So looking at nutrient deficiencies is a big factor with this, okay? And then third, we can look at some other very common factors. Oh, you know what? I should mention vitamin D deficiency is really big too. I live in Denver, and with the altitude and our proximity to the equator, it's vitamin D deficiency is very common here. Vitamin D is really important for balancing an immune response and having an appropriately functioning immune system. Okay. Now, some other factors that we can look at on just your basic blood panel. So if you have these records from your doctor, like a routine physical, go look at them. If not, it's worth considering getting a new panel run, a current panel run, to evaluate your susceptibility to a viral infection and your resiliency should you contract an infection. Okay. So other factors to look at: thyroid health. Thyroid controls the replication of many different kinds of cells, immune system included. We can also look at liver function, so liver and kidney function. Certain immune cells are most robust in the liver, so having liver issues can predispose to poor resiliency towards an infection. We can also get an idea of nutrient status from the blood tests that are run, and then other possible contributing factors. Other factors to consider that you wouldn't find on a blood panel: hypertension. I talked about that in the previous video, how this can predispose to not only COVID, but other infections. Mood disorders, so loneliness, depression, these significantly, and it's well documented that these also suppress the immune system. Interesting side note, we're still not sure which is coming first, the chicken or the egg. If the suppressed immune system and chronic inflammation is associated with the depression or vice versa. But we also know that loneliness is a bigger risk factor for heart disease and chronic illness than smoking is. So with this whole social distancing, that does not mean social isolation, right? Zoom calls, social media, phone calls, anything. Social isolation and loneliness will actually make things worse and make your resiliency worse, okay? So here, oh, and the last thing that I wanted to mention too is our weight issues. So overweight, obesity, the associated inflammation that generates, that can affect your susceptibility and resiliency to an infection. That is another marker that we can actually see on lab tests as well, looking at a marker called C-reactive protein. And if that's elevated, then we know there's active inflammation already existing in your body, possibly from an underlying stealth infection, possibly from something else. Obesity can do that. Smoking can do that. But nonetheless, another marker that you can look at to evaluate your resiliency and susceptibility to infection. Okay, so take-home message from today's video. If you don't have a current blood test, like from a routine physical from your doctor, consider getting one. This is something I'm running a special on right now to make my services more available. So please, if you're interested in getting a comprehensive blood panel, please message me. And if not, you can also go through your doctor to have that run and see what your current objective state of your health is for not only your susceptibility and resiliency to fighting off a viral infection, but for long-term health also. Now, the need and the awareness for having strong, optimal health is more in our face than ever. And so now is the time to start taking those steps. Okay. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out. I'm available again on Facebook Messenger, on Instagram Messenger. My website is progressivehealthandwellness.com. So any of those avenues, you're able to get a hold of me, and I'm happy to, or comment on this video here, and I'm happy to answer any questions that come up. Okay. In our next video, we're going to talk about the immune system, and we'll talk specifically about what nutrients are antiviral and what nutrients can support the needed pathways, T cells specifically, sometimes B cell responses of our own immune system, so that our immune system can help fight viruses, and nutrients that, like antiviral herbs, that can also help with viral infections. Okay, thanks so much. Hope to hear from you soon. Have a great day. Bye.